This S, the biggest letter of them all, other than B, it has, well, it's not the biggest letter, but it has probably the most artists, like pound for pound, the most good artists or great artists or whatever. B is pretty dominated by the Beatles, but this S, a great letter, it is the letter S, of course. And we'll start. And I've given myself like an hour for this because it might take more than an hour. But anyway, here we go. This is great. And I'll take pictures of this too. First of all, we have Savors of Paradise. This is a demo or promo version. And this was sent with those Aphex Twins that I was so thrilled because that person just sent me a bonus Aphex Twin. I can't get over that still. I don't know why, but this sacred... Well, you really can't see very well today. Sacred ceremonies. It took me like a long time to... What was this? Like, I don't know, some sort of, I think, chant. I don't know why I'm even bothering showing that, but for some reason it was kind of significant, and I can't remember why. Some of the things I'm going to just pull up because, I don't know, they struck me a certain way. Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4. I finally got into some Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. Getting like the reissues, I guess. I actually like this number 4. I don't know how it compares to the other ones. I'll find out. I also got 5. But this one falls under S. His name was Cigar or something? I forget. Let me see again. And then, whatever. You all know his name because I know you all, at least the people on the tape collecting, are really into those horror soundtracks. I've got all the Carpenter ones. This is a double thing. I may as well just show that real quick. Singe. Just some more Indian stuff. All the stuff filling in is mostly Indian stuff. Oh, Salamander. Here is a very interesting Japanese tape here. Salamander. Can you see any of this? What is going on today? The lighting is bad today. I should move my light over a little bit. Waste more time. Which I don't have because I'm going to get through so much stuff. Salamander. Yes. 86. As I remember, it was a very interesting one. Mostly video game soundtrack, but I had some other things going on. Okay. I believe that's sort of all the notable things there. We got St. Vitus. A whole bunch of St. Vitus here. I just got, I got a good deal. I got, all these, or most of these for $80. Not each, but total. Except for this one, which is kind of a reissue by somebody. They always put, these are promo versions, but that seems like a bit of a, not a lie, but maybe perhaps a little bit of misinformation. I don't know what it's promoting or who's promoting it, but this person who makes these always says promo version. Again, I don't really need to get this to you. Promotional purposes only, whatever. I bought it. Anyway, San Francisco house culture, that was kind of interesting. Early 90s, I think 93, house music from San Francisco. Okay. Guess so. Santa Clara Vanguard rehearsal, I remember that. That has a really great moment in one of their songs where they just totally nail this moment in their show. I can't remember what they're playing. I think Shostakovich. But, sometimes in drum corps you'll just hit a moment in practice where you just nail something and you never do it quite that way. Maybe in a show you do. But sometimes in practice just a fluke thing happens where you just play it the way you always wanted to play it. There's no pressure. Oh, I like these SNL performances, volumes 1 and 2. That's just these are from Russia, I think, or something. You can't really get them here. And Saturnine is yet another of the Tool series or whatever, where, the most famous one is the Dave Grohl one, which I also have in my other collection, not in this. This is the last stuff I've listened to in the last 5 years. This is what we're looking at here. And I'll also take pictures, like I said. Savage Oral Hotbed is a Wisconsin group. They're percussion, and that's why I bought it. I think I saw them once. I didn't expect to see a tape of theirs, but somehow it showed up, so I had to buy it. I got all these Scaly Andrew. These are from that East Coast band. What are they called again? Teen Beat, of course, Teen Beat. I've got a lot of Teen Beat stuff. Now, I didn't really know anything about Scaly Andrew when I bought him, but the guy from Teen Beat, I'm pretty sure I was talking to him, Mark, and he, I bought everything because why not? Our Paul Schlosser is a Madison goofball who goes around with a kazoo and bobs up and down and plays the guitar. And if you talk to him, he's exactly like his songs, I guess he's Madison's version of Outsider Art, but he's quite goofier than like Daniel Johnston or something. That doesn't mean he doesn't have good songs. I like his songs, they're okay. But I'm always like going up to him, asking him if he's got tapes, and he never has tapes. Anyway, School of Fish demos. I like that song 3 Strange Days, and the video is pretty weird. It's got like I don't know, some goofy looking monk or something that's going around. But I mean, it's one of those 90s songs, like a lot of 90s songs, where I have an odd bit of melancholy with all the nostalgia of the 90s songs. They're melancholy. Oh, the Sebadoh. Look at that. Huh, the Sebadoh. Wait, why is that here? That shouldn't be here. Anyway, let's not have that here. Okay, well, anyway, yeah, this is the Sebadoh. Like, Sebadoh is one of my favorite bands. What was I have no idea. Anyway, it shouldn't be under SC. Screaming Blue Messiahs. Now, this wasn't a very good tape, in my opinion, but it was the last tape that I ever listened to, because I listened to most of my old ones, given to me from my friend from Germany's dad, who I think I mentioned before. This was the very last one, I think, to listen to. I got about 200 from him, and they're all from, I guess the guy whose name was Big Al for the most part, but if you see that sort of a cassette with that sort of Xerox thing, that was made by like one person who would just record, have like hundreds of machines going at once, and there'd be a show, and he'd have that bootleg for the next day with this sort of great liner note or photo and stuff. Anyway, I've got the C and the cake here. The Sebadoh. Okay, the Sebadoh. Yeah, this tape, actually, shouldn't really admit this, but there's nothing on this tape. I listened to it, and it's really disappointing. However, this one worked. I got 2 copies of that, but one played and the other one didn't. I think I got my money back on it. The Second Family Band is a Madison band. Yeah, I like them all right. I actually played music with one of the members of that named Tony, who's named Tony Endless. I played with him all the way back in 1998. Or 99. Yeah, it was like so long ago, 98, 99. And like, I had a Roland V-Drums kit, maybe 2000. And he just played a bunch of toys, and I played the drums, and it was, I don't know. He joined this musical fraternity that played at my co-op a number of times. And when I say fraternity, I mean like frat boy who played music, led by a guy named Clay Ruby, who I think, if I can analogize Clay Ruby, he's kind of like maybe Michael Jarrah of Madison. You probably wouldn't like that, but neither would, Michael Jarrah like to be compared to somebody either, which is very much like in character. Anyways, they're a Madison kind of, at least they were a Madison institution, so I'm still trying to get their tapes, especially Second Family Band has a release of At Nottingham, and I want that someday. That'd be great. The Secret Stars, I think, was just a shrimper thing. We're only in the second row. We got like about 10 more rows, and we're at the almost 10-minute mark. My goodness. Sega, I'll try to speed this up. Sega Music Video Game Music Volumes 1, 2, and 3 from Japan, and Sega Forever from Japan. Well, I think this might be from the United States, but it's Sega Music as well. I've been getting into Ty Segall. He's quite good. His chord progressions and riffs and stuff are pretty excellent overall. I got to get more. I do have like one more, I think, in my other section of stuff. Pre-2019 section. Okay, Centrido. This is the Lou Barlow artist series here. I just was like happened to find, I guess, somebody who didn't want the tapes and bought them for I think $40 each. But yeah, they're hard to get now. You had to buy like a whole bunch of junk with it because you had to support the artists and stuff. They didn't like sell the tapes individually. But I think you can maybe find them now. I don't know, but not for a good deal. Maybe you could get a good deal, but I see them for $50. What else is there? Some Ravi Shankar. This Elliot Sharp promo from Japan was quite good. He's kind of made fun of, at least I had a friend who told me the story about how Richard Thompson and Elliot Sharp were both trying out for the Mount, what is that? Grizzly Man. And Elliot Sharp brought in this like huge bank of like electronics and a guitar with like double neck and stuff, and he started doing crazy stuff. And then the German guy who's the director was like, no, and then Richard Thompson just played a chord, and he's like, yes, that is what I want, just an open chord. And so like Elliot Sharp apparently left embarrassed. I've never seen this like part of the documentary. I'd like to, but I had a friend. My friend exaggerates stuff, and it makes it like funnier than it probably is. Then again, I was gonna like say just this Elliot Sharp is actually really great, and I wouldn't want to make fun of the guy because I really like that. This is an excellent improvisation thing he had, so I'm not making fun of him at all. Shellac. I have the other Shellac too. This one's from Poland, I think. A bunch of Shonen Knife promos. I'm happy to always get more Shonen Knife, whatever. Mark Shreve. I loved these. Yeah, the early Mark Shreve is so good. And Legion's really interesting too. I almost was able to get a better copy of Legion, but this is the one from Greece. I'm glad to have it, but I almost got a Legion and then somebody fucking bought it from me, like out from under me and stuff, and I should have just got it. Sometimes you just have to go for something. I was getting a bunch of other stuff, and then whatever. It doesn't matter. I'll get it someday. Shudder to think. Oh my gosh, look. Okay. One of the best shows I ever went to was in 95. It's dating me quite a bit, but this was one of the bands who played. One of the other bands that played was Sunny Day Real Estate, who we'll get to. I actually have some better Sunny Day Real Estates in the other section. I've got a Sunny Day Estate tape. It's not, they don't have the real in there yet. And Shudder to Think was one of the others, and the other was Brainiac. Shudder to Think, and then Sunny Day Real Estate. It was an incredible show. There's the Middle Eastern in 95. Okay. And I had a record copy of this, but now I've got both tape copies of this, as well as this one. I just listened to that like last night or yesterday because I wanted to get it listened to for today. Oh, by the way, this is a demo Pony Express. This one's I gotta pull this out again because this is just like one of the early things. I don't know. Just a great band. I don't know. I just always liked them. Like an early demo-y type thing. Oh, look, Simple Machines. I was talking about Simple Machines before. This is a compilation of all their stuff called The Machines. I don't know that it's got the Dave Grohl one, the time one, I think. But it's got everybody else. I mean, one of my favorites was not Dave Grohl anyway. Boy, it's late and I'm a little tired and I'm working. Why aren't focusing? Focus. Wasting my time with this. God. Oh, sorry. Don't look. Wait till the damn thing focuses, I hate phones. It's probably just, it's terrible that I'm doing this with a phone instead of like with a real. Would you watch this if it was good? I mean, if it was like, because this is the greatest collection. Like I keep saying you, like keep telling you this. But how can you believe me when it's on a phone? I guess I don't know. You know what I'm gonna do with this is take a sledgehammer to it, a whole collection someday. Because nobody wants it. At least they'd want to sell it and make money, but they don't want the collection. Oh, this is Charanjit. I'm, on the lookout, of course, for a 10 ragas. Good luck. I don't think they ever put it on a tape, but maybe they did. I'd buy it for some money if anybody ever found one. Of course, I mean, so would other people. Yeah, Charanjit Singh, who invented techno music. He's the inventor of techno music. Unfortunately, this is definitely not techno music. It's some much lamer thing that I think he thought was probably way better, but it wasn't. But I love like his techno music though. I mean, I think he died pretty disappointed because at age 75, coming over to the States to just do basic techno music. He was like everybody was into him, but they just wanted to hear basically the machines, and I think he wanted to play more than that. Anyways, keeping on going, right? Got to keep going. The Sixths, which is obviously an intentional wasps' nests, obviously intentionally phonetically difficult to say. I listened to Skinyard. I didn't remember what Skinyard was. It turns out like they're a pretty good Seattle band. I think Skinyard might be the most Seattle band I've ever heard. You kind of think maybe Mudhoney or Green River, but listen to Skinyard if you want to hear a grunge band. It's the most grungy grunge band ever. I thought they might be a punk band, but they're straight up grunge. Pretty good band. I guess Jack Endino's in the band, so there you go. One of the things I didn't listen to, and I listened to so much. I listened to the Slaughter, which I liked. I liked it. Whatever. It was good. And Slayer. There should be a show with both Slaughter and Slayer. Slaughter opening up for Slayer. Or the other way around. No, there shouldn't, but I mean, whatever. It's fine. The only one of the only tapes I didn't listen to was Sonic Boom, and the other from that band Sonic Boom from Spaceman 3, and then the other band I didn't listen to was some Slayer tape from '87 that was from Poland. And yeah, I listened to everything else I meant to. I listened to about 100 tapes in the last month or so preparing for this letter. Don Sleepy, and he's wonderful. Electronic composer. Very happy to have gotten into him. Still looking for more. Slint. This is a pretty rare Slint single here. I've got the other two on tape, but Glenn and Rhoda, get it if I ever see it. It's Slint, I mean. Sloan. That was an enjoyable. This is quite enjoyable. Like a pop band called Sloan. Another, like I said, S's are just strong. There's so many good bands in S's. Speaking of, Slow Dive here. We got Slovaki. We've got the new one. This is like the original, the first one, which kind of doesn't have the greatest cover or whatever. But anyway, I got two good versions of Slovaki that I'm pretty happy about. Okay. Smashing Pumpkins. I mean, I think I've talked about the Smashing Pumpkins a little bit, in my mixed feelings about them. But they do kick a sort of like, again, a nostalgia. Like any early 90s band has this weird nostalgia of that time and just a real melancholy and infinite sadness, I guess, right? Oh, but what are we looking at? We're looking right past that. Right to Elliott Smith, of course. Now, one of my very all-time most rare and valuable tapes is the self-titled. That's off K Records that somebody said they found in a desk drawer, and it was from Portland, but it seemed very legit. It sounded really good, like it was just dubbed up directly off a master. This is not that. This is the EXO new material stuff, but I'm very happy to have it, of course. It just came up on Discogs one day. This is Now, XO never really came out on tape. It's pretty interesting because like the first one came out on tape, and then another one came out on tape on DreamWorks after he kind of made it big with Miss Misery and stuff. That soundtrack that he did. By the way, I've got that soundtrack too. But somebody put out this either or anyway. Like, so it's a fakey version, but not a bad fakey version. What was this? Oh, some people doing Smith's songbook. Another Shrimper thing is kind of goofy. I don't remember much about it. We're at the 20-minute mark. Softs by the Soft Machine. 2 versions. Triple Echo. I had a version Triple Echo didn't play. This one played well. This one is the Softies, I believe. Pretty good band. Off K Records here. Another K promo. So that Elliott Smith looks like this, basically. Only it's a picture of Elliott Smith, and it's got the K. I mean, extremely rare. I'd never seen one before. It's not on Discogs even, but I have it. But not in this section, unfortunately. That's in my other section. The stuff I listened to 90 to, well, really 89 to 2019. Oh, and here we go. Solid Space. Now, this is unfortunately a fake version, but whatever. Yeah, I'm gonna get the original someday. Yeah, sure. But it's so expensive. It's a re-release that somebody made. Whatever. Now this is not though. Here is Sonic Youth. This is real. This is an aesthetic piece. We're getting into Sonic Youth. This is the most important part of this S collection is Sonic Youth. Without a doubt. I mean, no doubt. We start off with a Sonic Death. An original Sonic Death. I've got the other sort of also the more bootleggy version that looks like it's probably Thurston's handwriting. Although I gave the guy a bad review, and I feel bad about it because like I was like, I expected this one, which looks real, which is real. By the way, I think you can tell the kind of tape it is. It's got screws. I don't know. You know, like it's hard to know what things could be fake, but this one came out on eBay and it was $100, and I believe it's real because of the kind of randomness of it. It just kind of came up. It didn't seem like that seller was like a faker, like that guy from Peru who fakes a bunch, like has sold only rare stuff, and it's like, for real? Are you for real? I don't believe he's for real. I've got another Starpower here. These are the re-releases of Evol. Philippines version of Made in the USA. That's pretty cool. I think I talked about how I made that joke. I'm not going to do that in 2 weeks, by the way. I'm not going to revisit that joke. I did it twice. Basically, Made in the USA has an outtakes tape, and Made in the USA already kind of sounds like a bunch of outtakes to me. It sounds like stuff that didn't make their album. So they made a bunch of outtakes and they released that, and that's kind of a weird thing to do. So I made an outtakes of those outtakes. Only that version is like actually an April Fool's joke that just is a bunch of Halloween sounds, like witches screaming and people scraping and goofy torture sounds and things that just aren't. And I just said, like, I pretended that was Kim Gordon screaming and as the witch or whatever, and that they totally given up guitars to do this one. Why not have an outtake of an album that sounds like an outtake of one of their albums? This is Sister. It is. Let's see. That's the Goofin version. The new version. It sounded great. This is a Philippines version of Daydream Nation. The Piggy Mott version, which is Russia. It's like the cheesiest. It's so bad. Don't pay more than $1 for this. This is so lame. You know, it's so dumb. Why do I have... I don't know. I guess I didn't really put this exactly right. I'm going to put this right here. I don't recall offhand when Daydream Nation came out. This is the new one. I listened to it the other night. It sounded incredible. Library of Congress recording, one of my favorite albums. I don't know. Like, with Sonic Youth, 86 to 92, I feel like from Evol to Dirty, they were just at their peak. They were vital. And some people, like, I don't know, say washing machine or something. Like, to me, well, anyway, this is like another. I've got a lot of these. I've got a lot of promos of Goo. It's not hard to find them. Someday it might be, but for some reason they made a ton of promos, or they resold a ton of promos. But this version is, I think, Germany. This is, I listened to this yesterday, or actually this morning. A very, another corny Poland version, where I think there's something, oh yeah, instead of Jinx, they say Tinks. Hilarious, right? Oh, here's something that you might be interested in. One of my favorite songs of Sonic Youth. Disappear is one of my favorite songs. I absolutely adore that song. I love how it builds in the middle. I just heard it today. And this is the demo from EGC. Like, they put the single on a cassette tape for their demo. Okay. Dirty. I think this is actually the German version of Dirty. Dirty was the first thing I'd ever heard of Sonic Youth. I've seen him twice, once in 95 and once in 98. This is like, I think one of these was technically called a promo, but I think the only reason maybe was because there's a hole in the, I don't see it. And then one of them's a Philippines version. This is another Philippines version. This is a, like a, oh, the poker sound version, of course, of Dirty. Yeah, from Poland, I think. Very ugly cover. Love it. 100%. It's like, are you kidding me? These things came up on eBay and they didn't break the bank, believe it or not. Like, I'm the only one who has one of these as far as I know. If you've got one, let me know. I'd love to see it. And whatever else you got. This is 100% the TV track. I have 2 of these, and one of them's for sale on eBay, but for a dumb price, like $100, because it's rare. It's like you could sing, it's just the background vocals, so you could sing that. The Australian version. What did they do with that 100%? They send it to Australia. So creme brulee and that. Now, there are a few Sonic Youth things I still need to get. Oh, but here's one. Youth Against Fascism. Another promo from England here. Destroyed Room and Purr. I mean, like, I've had some incredible luck. This is the German version of Dirty Boots. There's also an American version. Philippines version of this. Experimental Jet Set. I want to say Canadian, I think, version washing machine. Yeah, I was just going to say musically, I think Sonic Youth was totally vital between 86 and once Steve Shelley joined and they finally made a record with him alone. Up until this album, Experimental Jet Set, where they kind of tried to go back very self-consciously to their early days. And to me, it's like, I know they love it, but that's like, that's like the album they enjoyed making. But it wasn't like, like when Thurston was gearing up to do Daydream Nation again in 08 or something, the 20th anniversary, he just said something like, oh, all the guitar parts were so simple. I can't believe they were so simple. I play, and it's like, well, okay, maybe Lee had all the good parts or something, but the music that you created together was much more important than what you're doing now. So I don't really know what you mean when you say, it's almost like an artist wants to continue to be vital. So they say stuff like that, because I don't know why. It's like if the parts are so complex that you play now, how come, like, when you're playing together, it's like, it's good, but it's like the heyday's over, I mean, I'm sure, I guess everything's over now. But I really want them to re-release. They're releasing a lot of really good classic stuff now. I really want them to release Chapel Hill 87. So if anybody watches this and gets that message, definitely tell them that some guy that has a bunch of tapes really wants them to do this on tape. And also tell them that I told them they weren't vital anymore and they shouldn't play any music anymore. Just kidding. And I don't hate Washing Machine. Washing Machine's all right. I'm not saying it was even a letdown. It's good. I mean, very good album. So is Experimental. Everything Sonic Youth's ever done is great. This is from the Philippines again. 1,000 Leaves promo from England. These, by the way, are like, I think I've passed over a few of these. These are like just some bootlegs from, I want to say Italy or something. We're at the half an hour mark. Murray Street from the Philippines. I've got a different version, I think, from somewhere else. Yep, I managed to, I think actually there's some liner notes that oh, and here we go. Here is the final show. It's very, very good. They're very refined by this point, and I think, was Jim O'Rourke in the band at this? No, the other guy. Yeah, the Pavement guy was in this band by this point. I know the tape case got kind of cracked there, but at least I was able to get it, and not for a stupidly bad deal or anything. It was for actually $15, I think. In Out In, I was able to get one of those. Some, were those like modern outtakes and stuff. And finally, this old classic here, Chestnut, called the Sonic Youth Sound Experience. Right, sure. Walls Have Ears. And it was 85 stuff. It was pretty awesome. They said, I think in the liner notes, that, well, Steve Shelley's great. The old drummer was also really good. He's really basic, but it sounded good. Steve Shelley's obviously the Sonic Youth drummer. Jim Sclavanos, I think. Yeah, like the drumming on the first record is awful. I'm so sorry to say that, but it is so clunky and stiff and just not what you want. And like when they got Steve Shelley, like that's when they became like the great band that they are. I don't know. Should I feel bad saying like ripping on the original drummer? Because like it needs to be said. Soul Asylum's new album. It sounded kind of like Soul Asylum. A lot was made about how it's supposed to be a country album or something, but it just sounded like Soul Asylum to me. Or was that the Pixies? Oh, I don't know. Ruby of Room, a promo. Irresistible Bliss promo. By Soul Coughing. And here's a good one. Soundgarden, Louder Than Live at the Whiskey. Now this is some sort of actual. It was hard. It's from, I think, Australia, but it looks like a real thing. It's like got the A&M thing on it. I think this is some sort of a promo. It's got a, markings that seem to indicate that it's supposed to be real. So a little rare, wild thing that showed up. Here's the, oh yes, Soundgarden Bad Motorfinger demo, an Outshined demo. I think I might have gotten this one from the same people where I got that Sonic Youth or something. I'm not sure. Listen to Outshine 3 times. Why don't you? I've got the other live. I got live volume 2 in my other thing. And so I had to go get volume 1 eventually. And down on the Upsides promo as well. Okay. An A-Sides promo. Yes. A-Sides promo. I always like getting stuff like that. Oh, the Soup Dragons I'm Free promo. Right. A whole bunch of versions of I'm Free and whatever else their big one was at the time. No, it's just I'm Free. Okay. What else? Oh, here's Speed Dealer. I mentioned REO Speed Dealer. This is Speed Dealer's new one, or they had to go back. They had to change their name. It's called Speed Dealer. January 92 sampler. I believe this has Nirvana on it. Yeah, that's kicking things off there. It's from, is it Spin? The Spin sampler, I see. Whatever. I say whatever quite a bit. Spiritualized Pure Phase here. And what's this? Let's see what this is. Spooky Sounds. Now this is the sort of tape that I will use to make that fake April Fool's joke version of Sonic Youth. Spooky Tooth. I think I need to get some kind of glue to glue these back on at some point before they start really coming off. SPUD is pretty good, I guess. Moving on. Oh, yes. I got to say something about Srinivas because this is amazing. This guy, I mean, look him up. He's been called sort of the Mozart of the violin, and he's a child prodigy who could totally play. I think it's the mandolin. But those guys over there, they don't play like, I don't know, like REM type mandolin or bluegrass mandolin. They play Indian music on a mandolin, and it sounds unbelievable. I highly recommend checking it out. The Saint Olaf Choir. Now, I've got most of my Saint Olaf choirs right here, but this is just one with Ken Jennings, who I think is the best director of all time. For Saint Olaf Choir, anyway. I'm the one after this. I think this is from 87 or 82 or something. I don't remember. My aunt was the music librarian there, and Go Tell It on the Mountain is my absolute favorite to this day. I kind of was a bit. They're a choir, right, from Minnesota. And I went through a period of like, I love this, and then a period of, gosh, it's a little bit saccharine, syrupy, and maybe a bit like melodramatic. And then I stopped caring, and I just began to love it again. And to this day, the not this one, but the Go Tell It on the Mountain is really, other than like the white people singing Go Tell It on the Mountain in a very white way, but otherwise like a spiritual, but done, with really pronounced enunciation and stuff. Anyway, it's okay though. I mean, everything else on that is just something I could listen to, especially around Christmas. It's great Christmas music. I enjoyed these Star Trek ones, especially the 30th anniversary, which features all of the themes from each one, and a very long The Inner Light, which featured the recorder or something, but that recorder melody is basically like an Irish melody, like very generic. I don't know that like the people that wrote music for that show are geniuses, but like they have some good music for sure to go along with their really good special effects. But they kind of tend to sort of, I don't know, they play it very safe, I would say, especially First Contact. That's like I think McCarthy. Or was it Goldsmith? The Goldsmith ones, he's actually one of the great composers of all time. But if this is... Oh, no, this is Goldsmith. Okay, so this one's good. But there's that other one by McCarthy. He's just like a TV writer. He can't write for crap for the... There are very few composers that can really write anymore. One who can is Williams, and this is the Return of the Jedi radio drama. I mean, I'm sure a little bit of the Star Wars theme crept in there, but this is mostly an expanded version of the Return of the Jedi. But it has a lot of the original actors. Not Harrison Ford, he's way too big, but I think Mark Hamill's in there. I think this is more Mark Hamill with the Star Wars, and the other one is where he got into the idea of doing, he likes voiceover work. And he plays a lot of cheesy villains in like Miyazaki movies and stuff. And he plays the Joker. I always thought was really cheesy. Mark Hamill's never been my favorite Joker. I mean, Heath Ledger's great, and I think the new guy's great. Mark Hamill, it's a little too sappy for me. Anyway, This is a really rare thing. The Beat Bocos of Blues. Ringo Starr, an actual original from the 70s, and the American version. Some people are trying to sell this for like $300. I did not pay. I paid like $20 for mine. Apple version. A few others, Ringo, and then some new ones. Oh, Scouse the Mouse. This was really enjoyable. Everybody should check out Scouse the Mouse. It's like all these original songs, all sung by Ringo Starr and company. Original Polydor. Not bad songs, from 1978. Nobody seems to know about it. I mean, this story's a little light, but that's okay. It's a kid's story. Here's the new ones from him. I think I gotta get the new one. I haven't quite got that, but I'll get it. Oh, Stereolabs promos. Here we go. I've got like a number of them. This is Mars Audio Quintet promo. By the way, I've also got all the, bona fide releases that are not the promos. Those are my other section. I've had them for a very long time. The Emperor Tomato Ketchup promo. My friend talked to me about Stereolab. He's, you know what Stereolab? You've heard of them? I was like, yeah. No, I haven't. He said, like, well, they're really good. You should check them out. I mean, they're not like the name suggests when you hear Stereolab. I was like, and imagine like if like they really took the name literally and they were scientists and stuff. Instead, they're kind of, I don't know, what are they? Europeans. Who wrote some cool stuff though. Dots and Loops. I think those were two different versions. This is a British version and the American version of Dots and Loops. And what's this one? It's Cobra. Okay, the British promo for Cobra here. Cobra and Phases group play whatever. This Al Stewart was pretty great. This is a Mobile Fidelity version. I just listened to this yesterday. I didn't know. I was just like, well, I better listen to my Mobile Fidelities. And this one, the first song, has a really great chord progression, great sound, lush sound, especially on Mobile Fidelity. The Sting things were kind of interesting. He's kind of revisiting some of his stuff here. The Living Sea with Sting, that's like some, 90s thing where they're trying to save the ocean. I don't think they've made it, but I hear the ocean temperatures are rising again. Look at all these Stone Roses. I'm not going to pull them all out, but these are promo, or no, they're just, maybe I'll just pull one out. First one here. They're all pretty much the same. It's just a single. Yeah. But I like all of them came up and they weren't too much money, so I grabbed them all. Stone Temple Pilots Core. Believe it or not, we are getting to the end here. The promo version of that. Another like childhood record. They kind of got unfairly pegged as being compared to other bands, especially Pearl Jam. When really, I think the guy was recording around the same time and he thought everybody was going to compare him to Jim Morrison, but no. And then they just kind of like, I like the Stone Temple Pilots because they just didn't care. They just went and did their own rock thing. They weren't too concerned with fitting into what other people thought of them, and they pretty much did glam rock, They were like, well, that's not what we are, so we're just going to do what we want. Here's the Stooges on Ampex. This is obviously a rare one. It's got a little bit of wear, but damned if it doesn't make it look kind of cool. The classic Stooges. It's the sort of thing that your brother, your cousin who would be 5 years older might own back in the 70s. You'd be like, what's that? ST-37. I lent them my snare drum. I was just thinking about them today. This one here, I don't know what happened here, but this played horribly. Like, it had this horrible washy thing going on, and then the sound totally cut out on side B a number of times. And my theory was that that nobody's really likes them, or they're not that great. They're okay, but I'm so mean, I know. But I lent them my snare drum one time at a show called Weedstock, and my snare drum had been tuned up by this guy who obviously played in wedding bands. And he wore gloves when he played drums. He was like, and he thought he was, he thought it was all that, but he was like, that he plays in like wedding bands and stuff. He plays like Mustang Sally in a wedding band, maybe. But he tuned up my snare drum very nicely. It was an aluminum snare drum, and then ST-37 broke theirs, and so I lent this to them. My theory about glare, though, is that they did it all on purpose because they know that nobody's really listening to side B, and everybody's just going to tell them it's great, and they can just know the truth that like you didn't really listen to it. It's the sad truth, but I don't know. Maybe they just don't know how to record things very well. I'm not sure. In any case, we're almost at the end. I better get a move on here. No, I got 15 minutes. We're fine, actually. Okay, so Silver Apples of the Moon, the re-release. I got the original as well. I forget, I think it's on Nonesuch. Yeah, it's got a blue label. Interesting liner notes by Subotnick now, because he's old. I didn't realize how old he would have been, but he must have been in his 80s when he wrote these liner notes. This is the re-release. It's 2017. And he talks a little bit about how he thought the world would be and how the world ended up. And it's kind of interesting. And an interesting story in the liner notes about how Jack Holtzman of Elektra, which is actually Nonesuch as well, was the one who really wanted him to do his electronic music. Kind of wish he would have put it out in the 50s, though. Because by 67, there was a ton of stuff that was already happening, You got to get in on it. You got to get the jump on everybody. Disaveld got the jump on everybody. He had stuff going back to 57, it's just electronic music. It sounds great. It sounds really interesting. And of course, the person who wrote the Doctor Who theme, what's her name? She basically invented breakbeat music. She basically apologized and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, pay no mind to this." And then it was it sounded like Bjork, the beginning of Bjork's Homogenic. And she did it in 62 or something. And it's too bad that she wasn't encouraged to just kind of pursue that. Imagine if there was music like that back then. Fuel. I like this album. Bob Mold's. Sugar. For Unlawful. No, that's not it. I'm confusing it with Van Halen. I forget what it stands for. The Sugar Cubes. Hey, look at this. Speaking of stuff I lent my snare drum to somebody, I kind of knew the drummer from the Sugar Cubes, Ziggy Balderson. He's one of the great dance drummers of all time, and I think he actually was playing at the same show in a band called Head Pump. I didn't really do much for Ziggy. I kind of pretended I put up some flyers to sell his drum set, and really I just should have bought his drum set because it was a really nice Noble and Cooley set. And I have great cymbals, but I don't have good drums to this day. Ziggy is an old kindly grandfather, and from Iceland. Personally, not only knew Bjork, but played in a band with Bjork. Of course, Bjork is probably the most important artist, but Ziggy is actually at least was a big deal in Iceland. He had some sort of some kind of a lounge act or something. He's very funny. He's a very funny guy. An incredible drummer, though. Not a technical drummer so much, but one who can get everybody to dance, in a room. And that is its own kind of talent. There's all people can play 8,000 notes a minute or something, but just to be able to get everybody moving, that takes a special thing. Sundance Kids is a friend of mine. That was his band that he had. He also has a number of solo things. A friend of mine who helped me put on my movie when I was in Olympia. Backstroke of the West. I actually played. I showed that in the theater. Oh, Suno. Yeah, I played this as loud as I could. Well, without breaking my system, but I played it pretty damn loud. It was worth it too. It was worth every moment. And I was kind of falling asleep. I was at my dad's farm, and I couldn't keep my eyes open through the whole thing. That's been happening a lot lately. Oh, a Sunny Day Real Estate promo for how it feels to be something on. Speaking of them, unfortunately, the Sunny Day Estate tape is with my other section. I think I mentioned Contra. The Contra soundtrack. This is something that somebody, again, made. It's not really, but it's worth having. Super Hits 92. Superstar is that guy that I was talking about, the Teen Beat guy. Mark. I forget his last name. Supertramp, Crime of the Century. Supertramp. You know, my mom had a Supertramp album. I don't know that I like them that much. They're okay. There's a part that sounded like that Bloody Well Right song. And it's so goofy. Like, what are they doing? They're kind of a prog band, but they're kind of like, I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't understand it. They sound like King Crimson, and it's like, oh, this almost kicks some ass here. But then they go back to like, you're bloody well right, and you know you got the... I was like, what are you doing? I feel that way about Hall & Oates, too, about that one song. Just kick ass, you know? Stop. Anyway. Here we go. Speaking of kicking ass, the Swans. Greed and Holy Money from Britain promo. A live one that kind of sort of seems like bootleggy to me. Here's a promo of, I want to say, now the thing about this is I got to make sure not to like lose it because it doesn't say what it is. It's just, I thought it was Great Annihilator. I think it is a copy of Great Annihilator, but they intentionally made it all black and then didn't say what it was. I also have a version that does have all the information here. Yep. These are some things off the Swans website that you could get back in the 90s. They would just kind of make the whole thing very creative like this, you see. I remember when I bought all these and the person was like, I think I won it for much less than he wanted me to win it for. And he said something like, Jarbo signed a lot of this. That's great. I did listen to a number of Swans things in the last month too. Not these, but a few others, including. Oh, the guy who sold it to me said something like, he wanted me to be appreciative, or he wanted me to know that it went for way less than he thought it would. I said, like, don't worry, it's going to a really good home. I will take good care of it. These soundtracks from the Blind are Polish versions. Gold and silver. Okay, we're done with the Swans. That was excellent. And the Matthew Sweets, and here's some Swerve Driver. I've been getting into Swerve Driver quite a bit. The promo version of Raise. See? Reel to Reel. Yeah. Reel to Reel. Promo version. Mescal Head. You can see why this is just a great section. This whole section. Swerve Driver is a band. Mescal Head is very good. And then Last Train to Satanville. Great. Promo version from Britain. These weren't all that money. Now, Ejector Seat Reservation. I listened to a version of this the other night. I listened to this within the last week. This is just a good sounding, fun album. What can I say? It's just really hella enjoyable to like. It just sounds nice. It's groovy. It's good. I got two versions of this. This is like one of them is the Malaysian version. The other one's the U.S. I think. Here's a Swerve Driver that is just, it samples from Ray's Mescal Head and Ejector Seat. And finally, 99th Dream here. If it'll ever focus. This effing camera. I'm so sorry. I swear they're real. The Swirlies are a band that I've gotten into a little bit. I was able to get a few like really cheap ones. Tang. The only problem with the Swirlies, and I just listened to this Broke Dick one, and it was okay, whatever. But this one, Blonder Tongue Autobaton. Problem with this band, they're called the Swirlies. They call their music chimp rock, which I think really takes away from. I mean, which I think is a combination of punk with shoegaze, but this album is so good, and it's just like it's a shame that it's like not better known, but they call themselves the Swirlies and they call their music chimp rock, so whatever, it's like they kind of shot themselves in the foot with that. I think they wanted to be better known, and then they kind of start branching out into other music here, and it's like not as good. Switched on NES. This is kind of a huge ripoff, but I'm glad to have it anyway. Is this one of the ones that, if they got a few of these that are like long and worth having, it's just NES music. And then they got a few that are like, Excite Bike is like fucking, I want to say like 20 seconds long. Okay, and then switch on NES, Link to the Past, okay. And then finally, Synthetic Socks. Ending on a very strong note with the Synthetic Socks number 15 I got for $100 from somebody, and I believe it is legit. It's a reissue from like I think the 90s or late 90s or something. Both of them from the 90s, but the yellow reissue of Synthetic Socks. The guy from Ween. I saw Ween. Ween's going to be coming up. Ween's going to be featured in a couple weeks when I do W's. But that is one of my rarest ones. And among those, yeah, I mean, I have like a minute left here now. And I think I said everything I wanted to say here. I'm going to take pictures of this too before I put them away. I guess the Sonic Youth we can look at again. But yeah, I don't know. So happy to share this music with everybody who's watching, which is like nobody. And I've kind of like come to this idea that, I mean, the ultimate destination for these tapes is probably a sledgehammer, because either, everybody wants to own this collection in order to sell it off for money, or they just wouldn't know what's in here. There's nobody I've come across who both knows this music and would be worthy of it to own it, because the price is almost irrelevant, I guess, unless you want to pay me like $1.5 million for my whole collection. And I consider that. I feel that it's worth that. I mean, no kidding. Like, these things took me like so long to. This is just the last 5 years, by the way, of listening. There's that whole other section that has 10,000 that I've listened to, and another 10,000 I didn't listen to at the time. Anyway, I think we're wrapping up now. Next week is Tease, another really good letter. I'll have some really good stuff for that. And we are done. Good night.